by William Joseph and David Foster, arranged by Dimitri Varelas and played by Bienvenido, Yangco. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, Terry. I love things like that. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. This is our Labor Day weekend, and I appreciate all of you being here. Tomorrow is the celebration of the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. We're going to do a little celebrating of that today in our service. I want to introduce our musician, Terry O'Hara, who will be playing a lot of Jewish songs today. So I'm going to introduce Bev Holland, who is going to be doing an opening prayer, and then Matthew Breck will be doing our meditation that follows. So, Bev?
Good morning. I invite you to close your outer eyes with me and just know the truth. The truth is that Spirit is absolutely everywhere. It is in the sun and it is in the rain. It is in the beautiful green grass and the flowers, and it is in all the grains of sand in the ocean. It is absolutely everywhere. And because I know that truth, I know that it is here in each and every one of us. It works in, as, and through us. And as we move into a celebration of Rosh Hashanah, we recognize anything through the past year that we want to release, anything that we need to forgive ourselves for and others. And I'm grateful that there is a time. There's always a time like this when we can do a self-evaluation and move forward in our lives. So I'm so grateful for this. And I release and let go, say, and so it is.
Good morning. I'd like to invite you to close your eyes again with me. And let's just allow ourselves to become completely and fully present. Allow our breath to guide us to that beautiful still place within us. Just allowing. And let's allow anything that came before this moment right here and right now to simply slide away. And this morning's meditation is about forgiveness. So I'd like to invite you to take a beautiful walk with me into that field of every possibility. It's a beautiful field of presence, of freedom, of restoration, of joy and of ease. And so let's stand before this beautiful field this morning. It's a field of beautiful grass, beautiful wildflowers, and the sun is illuminating everything. Just bring this into your mind right now. Notice how the breeze is just perfect. It is the most divine and beautiful field you have ever seen. And it is before you, and it is calling you forth. And on this path that awaits you, that is right before you, I invite you this morning to take that first step and allow yourself to be guided down this beautiful path. Breathing it in, feeling that warm sun touch your skin. Allow yourself to feel that perfect breeze. And when you get to the middle of the field this morning, I'd like to invite you to bring into your heart space this idea of forgiveness. Allow that to come into your consciousness. And as you stand in the middle of this beautiful field, notice how it supports you in every possible way. And if there is anything this morning that you would like to forgive yourself for, any transgression towards your own being, anything that you would like to let go of, any part of yourself that you have hurt or harmed this year, I invite you right now to stand before yourself and look into your own beautiful eyes and see yourself through the eyes of the divine and forgive that which needs to be let go of. Just allow it to fall away. And look into those eyes in front of you with love, with compassion. Give them peace and honor them. And now I'd like to invite you to look around and notice that there is a circle of people around you right now. And these are all of the people that you would like forgiveness from and that you would like to forgive. I'd like to invite you to meet the eyes of each and every one of them and just send love and receive love. And as you place your hands together, let them know, I forgive you. And I accept your forgiveness. Just go around the circle. Meet the eyes of each and every one of them. And say this. And just notice how this beautiful act of forgiveness, the reciprocal nature of forgiveness, just notice how completely freeing it is to your soul, to your mind, to your physical being. Just allow that feeling to pour in right now. And as you look around the circle and you meet the eyes of everybody there, just know that they meet you where you are at and you meet them where they are at. And that there is a beautiful, loving, intelligent, restorative, healing, divine energy moving between you and them. And just allow everything to fall away. And let's put our arms up into the sky right now, in the middle of this beautiful circle and this beautiful field of life. And let's turn our eyes upward, feeling the warm sun, that perfect breeze. And let's notice that everybody in that circle also turns their eyes upward. And as we do this, there's a beautiful channel of light that pours down, fulfilling everything that needs to be healed, bringing restoration to everything that needs help and healing. And that forgiveness and love is just simply pouring over all of it right now. Notice how your physical body is restored. Notice how your mind, how every part of your very being is restored. And so this morning I invite you to take this experience into your heart space and just allow it to resonate. And let's know together that forgiveness leads to freedom, restoration, healing, joy, abundance and prosperity in every way. And it is the way that we are agents of change in this world. So now I invite you to look around you and notice that that circle has gently faded away, and that you stand in the middle of this openness and just feel the pulse of life around you and through you. And as we make our way back to the pathway and out of the field, we are ready, we are willing, and we say yes to moving from this moment forward into this beautiful new experience where everything is restored to beauty and order, and where intelligence and love guides us in our every step, and most of all, where we surrender into the process of life ever expressing. So now as we stand at the edge of this field, I invite you to turn around and look and say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as we take a deep breath together, we return and we bring this experience with us back to this room. Just breathing it in. And with each breath, we feel it expanding and moving out from us. And when we are ready, we open our eyes. And we see everything through those eyes of forgiveness, through restoration, through love, and through the divine. And so this morning, I invite you to open your eyes and come back to the room and allow all of this to continue expanding within your being. And so it is.
So we're going to hear a Jewish song, Shalom. It should be Shivarim in the program. So, and Terry's going to guide you in singing along. Shalom Shivarim, right?
Yeah, the short Jewish verse is Shalom Shivarim, Shalom Shivarim. Shalom, Shalom, Lehit Reat, Shalom, Shalom. I'll sing that a few times if you want to join in, you can. The English version is Shalom, my friends, Shalom, my friends, Shalom, Shalom. May we meet again, may we meet again, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom Shivarim, Shalom Shivarim, Shalom, Shalom. Lehit Reat, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom Shivarim, Shalom Shivarim, Shalom, Shalom. Lehit Reat, Shalom. Shalom, my friend, Shalom, my friend, Shalom, Shalom. May we meet again, may we meet again, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom, my friends, Shalom, my friends, Shalom. May we meet again, may we meet again. Shalom, 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 shalom.
Thank you, too. So, as I said earlier, the Jewish New Year begins tomorrow. It runs through the 8th of September, and then it's followed by Yom Kippur, September 15th through 16th. And the central message of this time is we can heal, repair, transform ourselves, our society, the life support system of planet Earth, but we need to act quickly and decisively. That's what Rabbi Lerner said in his website. And so the holiday focuses on three components: Teshuvah, which means repentance; tzedakah, social justice; and tefillah, which means prayer. And the season explores what changes and reparations are needed in a world, and we try to make commitments to participate in efforts to manifest the change. And we're also working on joining the ongoing evolution of the universe towards love. So a little later, I'll introduce the Tashlich ceremony that we're going to do. That's done on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. The bowl of water represents a river. We should be doing this over at the creek in Wright Park. But the crumbs represent one crumb, so don't take a whole bunch of them, even though you may have a whole bunch of things to release. Take one crumb and make that symbolize everything that you need to release from the previous year. And then you float it on the water. Your Tashlich actually means to cast away, to cast on the water. So we're going to hear from Lucas Smeraldo a little later on video. He sent a YouTube to teach us this song that he originally wrote called Crumbs. And so we'll be doing that in just a little bit. Actually, we're going to be doing that next. So if we could have the lights, please. We're inviting you to sing along on this song. And one side of the room is crumbs, and the other is water. So those of you who remember this song, we've done it for about 5 or 6 years. So it's become kind of a tradition. Okay. Are we ready? Okay. So as we're waiting, you can just begin thinking about what that crumb would represent for you this year, what you want to release. Because right after this, we'll go into the ceremony.
Good morning. I'm joining you during Rosh Hashanah. It is great to see you all here, although I'm just imagining you in my mind. And I'd like to share with you again crumbs in the water. I also want to make it participatory. So your role is every time I give you a head gesture like this. Okay, we're going to show that. I'm going to show that again. That is your cue to sing water. So I'm going to give the head gesture and I'll sing with you the first time. Water. And every time you see that head gesture, then you're going to participate in this song by singing water with me. And this is a song that is representing the transience of life and the things that we offer out so that we can be made whole for each of the new years. And of course, Rosh Hashanah marks a Jewish New Year. So here we go. Get ready for your cue. Crumbs, 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 water, crumbs, water, crumbs, water, crumbs, water, crumbs on the year is the yeast of the nation, crumbs on the we buoyantly station our crumbs, 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 crumbs. Lord, I send these back to you. From the loaf I am not whole. I am in pieces, I am in parts. They give us rations in place of hearts, this river of crumbs, crumbs, giver of crumbs, crumbs. Take off your coat, take off your shoes, take off your guilt, take off your blues. Let the baker wake up, turn the oven from cold. Though the element's hot, though the oven is old. And if heaven is $37 for 1 month of pay, then Bangladesh is heaven, the hill Filger way. So the collar from crumbs, crumbs. Pay the dollar from crumbs, crumbs. Name the sin, claim the fear, lift the weight, place it here in the river of Rush, in the hush of Hosanna, in the wave of Hoshana, on a river of crumbs, on a river of crumbs, 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 crumbs on the water, the nation's in pieces, crumbs on the water. The ceasefire ceases, but the pieces, your pieces, my pieces, must be gathered and guided to see, to see, to see, to sacrifice, to see, to crumbs, 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 crumbs on the water. The baker is baking, crumbs on the taker is taking, crumbs on the prayers in the pieces from let the water from let the let the let the water come, crumbs, water, crumbs, 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 water, crumbs, 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 crumbs. Thank you for letting me join you today, and I wish you a wonderful and full new year, that we'll all learn from these challenges that we're all facing, and that we can bring the best of ourselves into the new Jewish New Year. Thank you.
So Tashlich, as I mentioned before, means to cast. And so we have a bowl of water representing a river. And as we cast our crumb on the water, we're going to imagine that we're lifting troubles off our shoulders. And so we pray that we can be helped to know that the last year is over, washed away like crumbs in the current, and that we can open ourselves to blessing and gratitude, and that we can renew our souls as the dew renews the grasses. And so we come in the spirit of Ezekiel's word, cast away from yourselves all your transgressions and create within yourself a new heart and a new spirit. So we'd like to start at the back, and if you'd like to come up, first of all, be sure you have in mind what the crumb symbolizes, what you want to release from the past year. And so come up to the little altar area, pick one crumb, and then float it on the water, and we'll go around kind of in this, just follow Mario, he'll help you know how to do it. Actually, you go down this aisle and then come around the other. That's all right. Doug is an individual. Thank you. So thanks to Rabbi Lerner for providing this ceremony. God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. And with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. And I dedicate this ceremony to my great-great-great-great-grandmother, Shua, who is Jewish. I found my Jewish roots doing genealogy. So thank you, God, and so it is. We're going to have a song from Fiddler on the Roof, Sabbath prayer before the message.
May the Lord protect and defend you. May He always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord. Keep us from the stranger's way. May God bless you and grant you long life. May God make you good mothers and wives. May He send you husbands who will care for you. May the Lord protect and defend you. May the Lord preserve you from pain. Favor us, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Amen.
So this month's theme, September, is Reach Higher. Reach Higher is not only the theme for September, but it's the topic of my message today. When Jesus instructed his disciples, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect," from Matthew 5:48, this set out for humanity the necessity of moving ever forward, upward, and inward towards source. And the correct translation of the passage is, "You are perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." This means you were created whole and perfect, but given your freedom of choice, you have been left on your own to determine when and how this purpose is to be achieved. So we can't veg out and stand still without atrophying. And we have no choice but to cooperate with life and direct our energies onward and upward, reaching higher. Ernest Holmes used to say, "We're all hell-bent for heaven by way of evolution." So that means we need to adopt a philosophy of moving from better to best. And it's a matter of when and how. I was lucky to have been raised by highly motivated by my parents. And if I ever got discouraged, they would say, well, I could do whatever I wanted to do or whatever I set out to do. And recently, I talked to two people whose grandmothers played that role of moving them forward, onward, and upward. So important are grandmothers that a national observance has been set aside for them next Sunday. Reverend Curtis, who ministered in Dallas, Texas, his mother would tell him, "Good, better, best. Never let it rest till the good is better and the better best." So I took piano lessons as a child, and I was always wanting to get out of the beginner's book to the intermediate level and then to the advanced. One of the four agreements in Ruiz's classic book, The Four Agreements, is always do your best. Always do your best. So the intention of the message today is to show you how to move forward and upward, where you will be one with spirit. And remember that you're not just a human being trying to survive this world. You are a spiritual being going through a human experience, working towards perfect fulfillment of your real self, whatever it is that you came here to do. And to view the full scope of this, you have to make the most of yourself on each level of yourself, from universal, spiritual, personal, mental, emotional, physical, and even material. And since we are all made in the image and likeness of God in the first place, the attainment of our true spiritual identity is the discovery of something that's always been there. Heaven is right where we are. And it's attained through our consciousness of this presence of God that's everywhere. And the secret is to forever move towards the horizon. And the secret of moving forward, upward, is that it goes on throughout eternity. The destiny of the soul is to move from soul identity to capital S soul. I guess it would be this way from your perspective. The capital S identity. And Ernest Holmes used to say everything is spiritual. Spirit is spirit is spirit. Spirit is soul is consciousness. Spirit as mind is intelligence. Spirit as heart is love. Spirit as form is body. And spirit as activity is experience. And spirit as substance is manifestation. So we have to begin to discipline our minds to discriminate between the important and the unimportant, between appearance and truth. And your mind is at choice. Whatever you choose determines the experience you are going to have. So I want us to do an affirmation real quick. New horizons are in view for me today. New horizons are in view for me today as I move inward, forward, onward, and upward toward the fulfillment of my true potential. So a lot has happened this past week with Ida hitting Louisiana and making itself all the way to New York and flooding basements and streets there. And my husband turned on the TV and he said, "Things are falling apart." And I said, "But we're not falling apart." And then he received a call from Greg Tambera at the Pierce County Health Department asking him to, as he walks around business districts, to urge people to get vaccinated. The hospitals are maxing out of beds. And so we are in kind of a middle of a dark night experience with lots of chaos all around us. And I discovered a story called The Old Woman in a Cave that was told by Northwest storyteller Michael Mead in his book, Why the World Doesn't End. It's a wonderful book, by the way. The old people of the tribes would tell of a special cave where knowledge of the wonder and workings of the world could be found. Not far to go, they would say, yet no one seemed to find it. Inside the cave, there lives a woman who remains unaffected by the rush of time and all the confusion that's going on. And she spends most of her time in the cave weaving, where the light and the shadows play. And she's been at this weaving thing for a long, long time and has reached the point of making the fringe on the edge of her exquisitely designed cloak. And she wants that fringe to be special. She wants it to be meaningful and elegant. So she weaves it with porcupine quills. And in order to use porcupine quills, she has to flatten each one with her teeth. After years of biting hard on the quills, her teeth have become worn down to nubs that barely rise above her gums. Still, the old woman keeps biting down, and she keeps on weaving. And the only time she interrupts her weaving work is when she goes out to stir the soup that is simmering in a huge cauldron back of the cave. The old cauldron hangs over a fire that began long ago, and the old woman can't recall anything older than that fire. It just might be the oldest thing there is in the world, she thinks. And occasionally, she recalls that she has to stir the soup that simmers over those flames. For that simmering stew contains all the seeds and roots that became the grains and plants and herbs that sprouted all over the surface of the earth. And if the woman fails to stir the ancient stew once in a while, the fire will scorch the ingredients, and there's no telling what troubles might result from that. So the old woman divides her efforts between weaving the exquisite cloak and stirring the elemental soup. And in a sense, she's responsible for weaving things together as well as for stirring everything up. She senses when the time has come to let the weaving go and stir things up again. And then she leaves the weaving on the floor of the cave and turns to the task of stirring the soup. And because she's old and tired from her labors and because of the relentless passage of time, she moves slowly, and it takes her a while to amble over to the cauldron. And as she shuffles across the floor and makes her way to the back of the cave, a black dog watches her every move. The dog was there all along. Seemingly asleep, it awakens as soon as the old weaver turns her attention from one task to the other. And as she begins stirring the soup to sustain the seeds, the black dog moves to where the weaving lies on the floor of the cave. And the dog picks up a loose thread with its teeth and begins pulling on it. And as the black dog pulls on the loose thread, the beautiful garment begins to unravel. And since each thread has been woven to another, pulling on one begins to undo them all. And as the great stew is being stirred up, the elegant garment comes apart and becomes a chaotic mess on the floor. And when the old woman returns to take up her handiwork again, she finds nothing but chaos where there had been a garment of great elegance and beauty. The cloak she wove with great care has been pulled apart, the fringe all undone. The effort of creation has been turned to naught. The old woman sits and looks silently on the remnants of her once beautiful design. She ignores the presence of the black dog as she stares intently at the tangle of undone threads and distorted patterns. And after a while, she bends down, picks up a loose thread, and begins to weave the whole thing again. She pulls thread after thread from the chaotic mess and begins to imagine the most beautiful garment in the whole world. And as she weaves, new visions and elegant designs appear before her, and her old hands began to knowingly give them vibrant shape. And soon she's forgotten the cloak she was weaving before, as she concentrates on capturing a new design and weaving it into the most beautiful garment ever seen in the world. This is the way of reaching higher. Just when all seems to be lost and the world is being unwoven before us, a story comes along that reminds us that perhaps unweaving is a wonderful thing. We shouldn't get mad at dogs who undo it all. Perhaps we're becoming free to weave an even more beautiful world. We're in this together. So I want to explore that our lives are a reflection of who we are, and then get a fuller picture. Author Anais Nin once wrote, "You do not see the world as it is, you see it as you are." And modern physics is on the brink, if not over the edge, of agreeing with this statement. Scientists have discovered the mirror of their own minds inside the atom, where the existence and behavior of particles depend on the intention of the scientist. Einstein saw these implications back in the 1950s, and he was not pleased. He grumbled, "I like to think the moon is there even if I'm not looking at it." So when science is done with atom smashers, it will know that the fundamental building block of the universe is thought. Thought is a thing, leaving a physical signature we don't always recognize as our own. It's as if we throw out boomerangs and then forget that we threw them, and when they come back, we wonder where in the heck they came from. So we keep throwing boomerangs, and some return to bring us pleasure, and others bring us pain. This parable from the Sufis speaks to this. One day a stranger goes into a village and he seeks out the local Sufi master for advice, and he says, "I'm thinking of moving into this village. What can you tell me about the people who live here?" And the Sufi master says, "Well, what can you tell me about the people who live from, where you came from?" And he says, "Well, they're terrible people. They're robbers, cheats, and liars, and they stab each other in the back." "Well," said the Sufi master, "isn't that a coincidence? That's exactly what they're like here." So the man leaves the village and is never seen there again. And soon another stranger enters the village and seeks out the Sufi master. He says, "I'm thinking of moving to this village. What can you tell me about the people who live here?" And the Sufi says, "Well, what can you tell me about the people who live where you come from?" He said, "Oh, they're wonderful people. They're kind, they're compassionate, they look after each other." "Well, now," said the Sufi master, "isn't that a coincidence? That's exactly what they're like here." So we take our inner selves with us wherever we go. And changing external circumstances is like walking up to the movie screen and trying to change the picture on it from there. Our world can only be changed from within because that's where it comes from. So you see, life is really a reflection of who we are. Life is a reflection, actually, of what we believe we are. Life is a reflection of what our paradigm tells us we are, or who we've been taught that we are. According to A Course in Miracles, you are the light of the world, and that's your only function. That's why you're here. So I want to take a little quick journey to clean off some debris that may be covering up who you are and who you believe yourself to be. So just close your eyes for a minute. And I'm going to ask you a question. If you were a brilliant jewel, what would you be? An emerald, a sapphire, a diamond, garnet, pearl, ruby? So begin to envision that jewel. Its size, shape, color, depth, brilliance. And then imagine this jewel is hanging out by the side of the road, and cars are coming along and splashing mud on you, and it's been raining, so a lot of mud splashes on you. And the wind picks up and now leaves all the debris stuck to the mud, and pretty soon you're completely covered up in mud and debris. And the jewel is nowhere to be seen. It's completely buried. It's still there, but not visible. So now you know you can't go walking along like that. I mean, what would people think? You look like a mess. So you decide the best thing to do is to cover it up. And you find a paint store, buy some beautiful paints, and paint a lovely exterior. Very nice, very pleasing. And you walk around with your lovely exterior. But the challenge is, it's the only you remember is the mud and the debris, and you think that's the real you. And it's very unattractive. It's not the actual you, the brilliant you, the you before mud got slung up on you. So I want you to reach for that jewel and rinse it off. And notice how exquisite and brilliant it is, more beautiful than you ever thought before. And now just bring it into yourself. Breathe it in. Bring your hands to your heart and let it merge with you. And however you do it, bring it into yourself. And in the moment you do that, you realize it's already there. By reaching for wholeness, you have ignited the spark of the divine within you. You have created an inner world that will reflect back to you an outer world of radiance and love. You have truly reached higher. And now, you rise. God bless you all. Thank you. So we have an offertory Laudate Dominum by Bienvenido and Terry, written by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And after we hear the song, we'll take up a collection in our offertory. So it's time for our offering. We like to say the blessing in your program together. So together we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. So we have a few announcements before we do our healing prayer and closing song. One is that we have 2 classes starting right away. One starts next Saturday on the 11th. It's called The Art of Scientific Mind Treatment. It will be from 10 to 12:30 on Saturday mornings, taught by Susan Blake. We have 4 or 5 registrations so far. So there's time if you go online to register. It's going to be a fabulous class. That's our technology we teach here, spiritual mind treatment, and you really will deepen your practice of that. So enroll if you haven't already. It's 8 weeks from 10 to 12:30, time you won't want to miss. And then on Monday night, we are starting Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, which is the new foundations class. For those of you who want to join the church, if you haven't yet joined the church, it's a required class, or at least you have to take it within 6 months of joining. Yoshie Wong and I are developing the Path to Membership class, which will be taught, I believe, on the 18th of October. We'll be telling you more about that. This class will only be taught 3 times a year, so take advantage of that. It is required to join, and after you sign up to join, your application goes to the Board of Trustees, and they approve your membership. So we want you, as Uncle Sam, as Aunt Frances would say. Yeah. So anyway, did you want to say a few words about that class, about Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life?
Hi, this is a great class. I just want to let you know that we touch really every topic of life: health, mind, abundance, your interpersonal relationships, and it really creates a foundation for building upon with our other classes. So some of you have already taken foundation, so if you need a refresher, it's great. It's 5 weeks. So it's rather condensed, but we cover a lot of really good information and really get you on the path to becoming a master of our philosophy. So if you haven't taken it, if you'd like to take it again, I invite you to go online and sign up. It starts on the 13th, Monday evenings from 6:30 to 8, and it's 5 weeks, so it's a great amount of time for those of you who have a lot going on, but also want to enrich your soul and move your life forward in a positive way. So thank you.
And next week, we'll promote all the other classes that are coming up, starting on the 29th of September and moving into October. So at this time, I'd like to call up Bev Holland to do our healing prayer, and that will be followed by Turn, Turn, Turn.
I'll invite you to close your outer eyes again with me and just recognize that Spirit is absolutely in this room. Spirit is everywhere present. I'm recognized that this same Spirit that is everywhere is working in, as, and through us in every healing way. So whatever our healing need is, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, any type of need, it is time to know. We can know at any time that we have the choice to say yes to Spirit. Spirit is always here. It is always within us. We need only say yes. We need only say, yes, I am ready. I surrender. I am ready to make a change. And it is done. That is what we know so well in our practitioner group. And we also know that everyone can be a practitioner. I don't mean going through all the classes. I mean being a practitioner of this faith, of this understanding of our world and our spirit. And so I'm just so grateful knowing all these truths today. And I release it into the law, where I know it is done and it is so. And so it is.
Turn. Please help me out with the chorus. I think we all know it. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you all who are viewing. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you next week. God bless you.